everybody. Appreciate everybody coming at this early hour. We'll call the meeting to order of the Senate Appropriations Subcommittee on Agriculture and Natural Resources. And we'll, as customary, we're going to start our meeting with a prayer, and I've asked Chairman Payne if he would do that for us.
Absolutely. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you today, Lord, and just thank you first and foremost for all your many blessings upon us. We thank you for the breath of life that give us purpose to serve each and every day. Lord, we just ask you to guide us and give us wisdom and discernment as we go through this matter today, that we can serve your will and your purpose in all things. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Chairman Payne. All right. I want to introduce our budget analyst, Natalie Heath. She's been very helpful to me, and I'm sure to the agency heads and department heads, and she's available as a resource to any of the committee members that have questions or need to get with her offline. All right, we will start the meeting with the presentation from Commissioner Gary Black, the Department of Agriculture, or one of his staff members, or all of them, or however he wants to do it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, good to see you all.
Good morning. Let me, all right, is that? For anybody that might be watching this online, Mr. Commissioner. We're going over the FY21 supplemental budget, just to be clear to the audience. Thank you.
asked them to help us because once you appropriated this $200,000 in the 21 budget, that is nowhere near met our costs associated with implementing the program and how to put 453,049 on 45.2. Mr. Chairman, the last ad, if you'll put the page is 46.1 on page 3. We had a request that this is driven partly by him, but it's also driven just in our, we have some strategic thought of where we'd like to go with our licensing, which requires some enhancement of our key platform. We had a really good strategic meeting last Friday on one goal that we have this year is we have 68 different licenses that people have with us. And we've had a goal for, I mean, it's and they're all necessary. I mean, they're all have different, they're in the body of law. But what we are looking at doing, and I've had a goal for 11 years now, but we're going to get to it, is where if you have a relationship with us, and we want to get to where you go to one screen, and kind of like DNR, where you get your hunting license, your big game, your fishing, and all on one thing, and pay it one time. That's oversimplified, but it is an aspiration where we're headed. We need the incident enhancement with our IT, and that's kind of a one-time shop in the house. We would just simply ask Mr. Chairman if the committee has the room and grace to consider these, we sure appreciate it. It really gets us in a much better position. And I'd love to answer any questions today.
Any questions from the committee members? All right, Chairman Payne.
On the vehicles, what is the average age of the vehicles that you're talking about that you have now, that you've gone over, had to prolong because of the?
We have a number. I'll get you the average age.
I don't know the average age, but the average mileage is in excess of 75,000.
Okay.
It's 175 to we use it in the car.
Thank you.
We do have some people often ask like what type of vehicle. We kind of have them all. I mean, we do the Kia sedan now, that mid-size sedan is made here. But we also, we have F-150s, but then sometimes we have, I think there are a couple of F-250s in this part, plant division, so they're out. Actually need that, and need to go drive. Our cost is
Chairman Harvin.
Just the overall analysis over time, this is the better deal. So we do have a little balance of both. There's been a threshold 15,000.
Typically 15,000.
Yeah, typically if they're on the road more than 15,000 miles a year, it's more economical. Yes, sir.
Commissioner, I didn't catch the number. Just refresh me on how many licenses you issue.
The total licenses is in the area of 150,000.
Okay.
I mean, count the gate card, structural pest control, and fertilizer line. We have about 68 different licenses.
Thank you.
Chairman Harper.
A couple of questions, if that's okay, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman.
sir.
On the hemp program, I know the House put in the 453. Is that reflective of, because the goal of the General Assembly was whatever license fees that we raise, we're going to try to appropriate that to run the program. And that was our commitment to you whenever we were working through this, because I know that you were concerned about the operational expenses. Just curious if that is that the without diving off into the numbers, I'm just curious if that's the appropriate figure that gets us there and then allows you to operate the program effectively. Okay, that's what I needed to know. And then number two, I know the governor put some money in, and the House agreed with the Fairgrounds of about 175. And just for the record, I think, would you agree that that's probably enough to help offset because we're only in the amended budget, and I know that they're not here, and I know that it's only attached to you, but I also know that. Okay. Oh, we are calling them. Okay. Never mind. I'm sorry. I didn't know that we were going to be talking to them. I just know that you, I, and the chairman, all three sit in that room, and I just wanted to discuss that really quick. But if we're going to talk to them, we can talk to them about that.
But I don't think I think it's always important to not waste an opportunity to be grateful. And so I think that's certainly puts the operation a much more favorable. Not without its own challenges, as the chairman knows. But I hope that we continue to work through that. I can tell you right now, there's which has been, I think all of us support a more entrepreneurial spirit down there, which it's a helpful, great board, great leadership, great staff, but we're doing some enhanced deals with respect to more private support, looking at foundation, those kind of things that will be for better service as we move forward. But this was absolutely a necessary shot in the arm in order to keep continuity with the service for the staff. And let's just hope the way we have fair, because that's vital to future operation of all of us.
Yeah, we're definitely very, very grateful to the governor for his support, and he and the First Lady recognize the value of that facility for all Georgians, and especially our youth. And you know, their daughters spend a lot of time there growing up and showing livestock, and it's near and dear to their heart too, like it is to all of ours. So we are very grateful for his support of that, and we'll hear from Stephen Shimp in a little while with more information. I want to thank the commissioner, and I'll call on Senator Sims. She's got a question, but I want to thank you for the good work you have done through the pandemic, and that's been a challenge for all of us, but especially food safety and employee safety, and you all have done a stellar job, and I appreciate that. Senator Sims, I think you have a question. And let me also, excuse me, we've got an audio problem, I'm sorry, Commissioner, with your mic. So the audience is not hearing you, I don't think. Now, Senate Press is supposed to have all this set up, so I don't know how all this works. I think this mic might be hot. No, well, I mean this one, like up here.
Oh, this one up here.
That's the only one that appears to be hot to me, based on the light. Or yeah, or how about the podium, Commissioner? All right, maybe.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I thought you had the con up there, so. Yes, sir. Is that better?
I hope so. Does that seem better, Bo?
That's good. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Does the appropriation ask for hemp reflect an unexpected growth in the hemp?
An unexpected growth?
Statewide.
Uh,
Well, with our farmers engaging in the operation.
What it anticipates is an accurate number of what it requires to regulate the industry, because there's a critical mass that you have, whether we have 1,000 acres or 3,000 acres, for us to actually do what I think you want us to do, Senator. So this is a very good number, and as I've pledged to y'all throughout the development of hemp, if we get to a point where that is in excess, then we'll come back in future amendeds and tell you here's where it needs to be. We're all flying in new territory because we don't know. This past year, Senator, we wound up with 1,300. How many acres, Bo? We wound up with, and we've got some detail. There are details that we'll point out to you in that bigger about how many licenses, how many acreage. This year, as it's coming into focus for us right now, it looks like the number of processors and the number of growers is dropping just a little bit, but that's to be expected because new people getting in it and didn't know what to do, and then some more serious people increasing their focus. But the CBD oil looks like there's still a market. The fiber, and we've had some discussion in the past year. People, you're looking at that as a component for future electric cars, those kind of things. Those are still front burner issues. We just want to be sure we're equipped to do what's necessary. And the last thing, Senator, well, we talked in committee, in full committee yesterday, the Ag committee, but for maybe a couple of members that were not there, it's going to be really important with this new federal rule that we move because there are some things that we have to do to stay in compliance with the federal rule.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Based on your testimony yesterday, Commissioner, the industrial hemp program, it does seem to me anyway, face some challenges with the new federal regs that we've got to address legislatively, and it's an expensive program to stand up and administer. It looks like to me the projected fees or licensing and fees are not quite covering the cost of standing up the program, doesn't look like. But regarding the line items on the hemp ask, it says 2 field inspectors and auditors, an associate attorney, post-certified enforcement. Are those annualized figures? It looks like to me those are annual salaries.
They are.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that.
Yes, sir. They are. And
it's in 45.2. Where would they see that? It's on page 2.
yes, sir.
All right, are there any further questions for the Commissioner? Again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Appreciate it, members of the committee. Look forward to y'all have a good weekend, or let us know if we can help you today.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, next we have our new Director of the State Forestry Commission, Tim Lowe, longtime friend of mine, a great man, and I know he's going to do good work. Director, would you mind, let's try the podium I think we're still having audio issues possibly. Do you mind to present from there?
This will be fine. Can you hear me? Hello?
We don't really know. Is there anybody online that can tell us? Bo, you're.
I think it got a little better there, but when he turned that mic on.
Just bear with us 1 second.
Oh, I'm
Let's try
fine.
to get this right. I apologize.
Yeah, I was getting texts that we couldn't hear Gary and then those stopped, so after
Okay.
you guys turned it on, so I think that was working.
All right, that'll be good then.
Do
Let's
that.
try that. Are you our sound man?
Not working?
They can hear us. I just got to
Oh, yeah, they can. Okay. I think we're good. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. It's good to be here and with some friendly faces and some familiar faces. Just me being in a new seat, so I'm excited about the opportunity. For some of you that may not have known, I was appointed on December the 21st by Governor Kemp to lead the Georgia Forestry Commission, and as a forester for 20 plus years in the state of Georgia, to have this opportunity to lead the Forestry Commission and to help promote our industry and help promote forest landowners across our state is really a pinnacle point in my career. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited to work with the Forestry Commission. My first day was last Tuesday, so I'm about 2 weeks on the job, so I'm onboarding and jumping right into the budget hearings, into the session, and excited about that as well. So thanks for having me. Our budget is pretty straightforward here for the supplemental. You'll notice on 161.1 in your package on page 6, you'll notice that under the program, the governor had put back $340,000 under our commission administration section of our budget. We asked the House to move that $340,000 over to forest protection, and they graciously obliged and made that move for us. That $340,000 was put back into the budget to allow us as an agency to continue to keep our fleet of Chief Ranger vehicles that are used for fire protection, to keep them current and to allow us to stay on our regular rotation of schedule of replacement trucks for them. That's to get 10 F-250s that will be equipped with water tanks that can be used to respond and to help put out wildfires in those respective areas. And on average, our trucks for Chief Rangers, according to our finance director, Michelle Gray, who does a great job for the Forestry Commission, shared with me that we've got about, I believe the number was a little over, I think it was 220,000 miles on those trucks that we're looking at replacing. So we appreciate you guys considering the recommendation of the governor and of the House, and we've certainly welcomed your support for that continued. For that to continue to remain in the budget underneath forest protection for us to be able to replace those vehicles. So, Mr. Chairman, that would be, I guess, of our budget. That's that'd be the conclusion of the presentation on the budget. I would just like to add, I don't know if you, real quick, we released Georgia Tech's economic report that they do annually on the forest products industry, and just some key notes that I want to share with you real quickly as you guys are considering that. And I think I have to do that just to be a good steward and a good advocate for our industry. And this was published in the AJC on Sunday, but our industry continues to, in the middle of COVID, in the middle of the pandemic, our industry continues to be robust for our state of Georgia, for the state of Georgia. 140,000 jobs, $8 billion in pay wages across our state, and then also contributed $106 billion in state revenues. So that's pretty meaningful industry for our state. So we appreciate your continued support for that. We also appreciate your continued support for the Georgia Forestry Commission and our mission to protect and conserve Georgia's forest resources. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll be glad to take any questions.
Thank you, Director. We're so proud of our forestry industry here in Georgia, and I think we're the #1 state for forestry as far as private forest lands. Is that correct?
We're the #1 forestry state in the nation for a lot of factors and a lot of reasons, and that certainly is one of the reasons, Mr. Chairman. And that's not by accident. That's by leadership underneath this Golden Dome, and also within the industry and within the commission. People that have been serving that industry for a long time. So, yes, sir.
Thank you, Director. Any questions from the committee members? It's a lot more high-tech than the public would maybe think. It's pretty high-tech stuff.
You coined that phrase for us, Senator.
Thank you, Senator. Chairman Anderson.
I want to echo what Senator Sims said. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Glad to have you in your position. My question is on the vehicles. Is it all just vehicles, no dozers or no equipment?
This is for vehicles, yes,
Just
sir.
strictly for vehicles?
Yes, sir. Senator Anderson, I believe, if I remember, my notes I have notes that say I think the General Assembly has supported the commission from 17 to 19 with I believe it was $21 million over that period, and a lot of those resources were used to purchase dozers and replace dozers. Yes, sir.
All right, any further questions? Chairman Ginn, welcome. Good morning.
Always good being here with you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate you letting me come in and have breakfast with you. I was wondering about our new director. Have we had breakfast yet? If he hadn't, I hope he'll join me for breakfast.
Be glad to.
Are you buying, Chairman?
Yeah, I think we got it covered.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Director.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch.
All right.
Appreciate it. Okay, our next presenter is going to be the Executive Director of the Georgia National Fairgrounds and Agricenter, Stephen Shimp, and that's going to be via conference call. So let's keep our fingers crossed that this works.
Hi, can you hear us?
Yes, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, good.
Good morning, Stephen. How are you doing?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. It's good to be with you all this morning.
We appreciate you joining us by phone.
I've got Steve Rogers, our CFO, and the chairman of the Georgia Agricultural Exposition Authority, Mr. Foster Rhodes, is in here with us also.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning.
We have with us this morning Senator Ginn, Senator Harbin, Senator Anderson, Senator Payne, Senator Harper, and Senator Sims.
Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you all for the opportunity to speak with you all this morning.
And we've got our budget analyst, Natalie Heath, here, trying to keep us straight. We hadn't had too many technical difficulties yet, but a few. Which is,
it's the day and age. Everybody's trying to figure all this out. So
I have a hard time operating my television, so that tells you how the age I'm at. All right. But I will turn it over to you, Stephen.
Yes, well, first I want to let everybody know that the $1.75 million that's in there, this staff, and I think, I'm going to speak for Mr. Foster, we're just overwhelmed and grateful for the support. The governor's recommendation, we feel like will get us through June and into the next fiscal year, and so for the little budget we're just very grateful, and we want to thank everybody for that. You know that the coronavirus, the pandemic, it hit the fairgrounds in a way that I don't think that anybody could have anticipated how. And to put it into perspective, from March of 2020 to December of 2020, 52 events canceled on us. We've lost revenue, and this is directly to the pandemic, to the tune of about $5 million to this point, 4.84 to $5 million. And as we're going into 2021, that trend is continuing. We're still having events cancel on us. We're trying to pick up new business. We're trying to survive. The fairgrounds, we're running at a bare minimum staff. We're down from 67 full-time employees. We're currently at 52, and we're hoping that one day we can get back whole. We've got quite an investment here in Perry, and we want to keep it looking good and clean. And but everything, and I'll speak for Steve Rogers. Steve and I, now we shovel horse stalls. So everybody here is contributing. We've got folks going way out of their job description just to keep this facility in good shape and to keep it clean for customers that are coming in. So if anybody has any questions or if there's anything else that I can expand on, I'm glad to. Mr. Foster and Steve Rogers, do y'all have any comments?
Well, I echo what Stephen said about the cooperation and the help from the General Assembly. We're very thankful for that. We're so appreciative to have folks on the committee that really are our stronghold in the legislature. We appreciate that all through the years, and I want to stay in front of the staff. We're so thankful for them cutting back and taking furlough days and really making things work for us, and we appreciate everything y'all do. And please, if there's anything the board can ever do for any of you, please let us know, and in any direction, we appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman, and I want to thank the authority for your leadership through these difficult times, and I also want to echo what you've said about the staff and the belt tightening that's been done there to keep the place operating on really difficult financial times. And I also want to thank the staff and the authority for looking at ways to diversify events and bring in new events even during the pandemic, and to look to the future to diversify where we aren't quite as reliant on the fair and the event. We were able to run into this situation again, spread our risk, so to speak. But thank you for that, and I'll ask the committee if they have any questions. All right, I don't see any questions. Thank you all, and y'all have a good day.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all, and have a great weekend.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. Okay, our next presenter is also by phone, Dr. Dufour Zavala, Executive Director of the Georgia Poultry Laboratory Network.
Yes, I can.
Dr. Dufour Zavala, this is Larry Walker. How are you this morning?
I'm good, Mr. Walker. How are you?
Good. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
You're
close enough? All right. Well, thank you. We've got you over the phone, and it's being live streamed, the committee. I want to tell you that the senators that are here, Senator Harbin, Anderson, Payne, Harper, and Sims, and our budget analyst, Natalie Heath, is here with us. So the floor is yours.
great. Thank you so much, Chairman Walker. I really appreciate it. Yeah, my report is going to be very brief. First of all, I want to thank the committee for supporting us in our big project we had the past 3 years in the repair of our BSL-3 high containment lab. That was I have to say, was a fantastic success with GSFIC's input and leadership. It really made a big difference for the lab here, and I just wanted to start by thanking all of you for that.
Okay. For the committee, we're looking at page 2, line item 48.1.
That's correct. So this new request is for a piece of equipment that we need to run a test for poultry. The way this works is every time a poultry flock has to move meaning, broilers to the processing plant or pullets to the breeder house, or chickens that need to move to other states or even internationally, we need to run a certain test called the PCR. You're familiar with that now with COVID. It's the same test that's run with COVID. In order to run these tests for chickens to move, we need pieces of equipment continuously in rotation, so we never have any continuity of operations issues. And we're at a point where we need one of those machines called the King Flex machine for RNA extraction. So this is our request this morning. We would put this machine in rotation to make sure that there is no disruption in the continuity of services to the industry so poultry can move.
Thank you, Director. How do you nasal swab these chickens?
Interesting. We don't have to go in the nose, so we go in the mouth. And chickens have an opening between the mouth and the nasal cavity. So we swab that. It's called the palate cleft. So we don't have to go in the nose, but we go in an opening from the mouth.
Wow. All right.
Good question.
Well, listen, agriculture is our #1 industry, and in the ag sector, poultry is the biggest portion of that, so we appreciate the work you do.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions from the committee? Looking at line 48.1, an add of $62,000. Chairman Anderson.
Doctor, do you have to test it as a chick and also as a grown chicken both times when you move them?
Oh, I had a hard time hearing that, Mr. Chairman.
Do you have to test them as a baby chicken when you bring them in, and then move them, and then also test them again when you move them out as a grown chicken?
Yeah, baby chicks coming in don't get this type of test. We do test them for chick quality and different other things, but not with the PCR. The PCR is used within a week or two before chickens are moved to make sure they're free of bird flu and mycoplasma before they're moved to their destination, and that could be the processing plant or another farm.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it.
All right. All right, the next presenter is the Director of the Soil and Water Conservation Commission, Director Mitch Attaway, also by telephone.
This is Mitch.
Director Attaway, Larry Walker, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Yes, sir.
We have here Senator Harbin, Anderson, Payne, Harper, and Sims, and our budget analyst, Natalie Heath. And we are ready for your presentation on your budget. Give us the page and line number if you have it. If not, Natalie will. I think it's 50.1 on page 2. Is that?
50.1, yes, sir. That is correct, and you'll notice there is the only change we have for the little budget is a reduction in salary, and that is that's from a hiring date
position we received last fiscal year, we kind of had trouble finding the right person for that position. Maybe COVID played part in being able to handle interviews correctly or whatnot, but that position didn't start to December, so what you see there is the House just taking out the funds that will not be used this fiscal year for that position.
Okay. Well, that's pretty straightforward. We appreciate that. Any questions from the committee? I don't see any questions. Appreciate the work you do.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a good day.
You as well. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Bye-bye. Next is Commissioner Mark Williams with the Department of Natural Resources. That's also by telephone.
Hello?
Commissioner Williams, Larry Walker, good morning.
How you doing, Mr. Chairman?
I'm doing well, thank you. Appreciate you joining us this morning. Do you see us on video, or do I need to tell you who's here?
No, I can see you on video, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right. Well, we appreciate it. Give us the page and line number. All right, 221.1, okay.
It's section 34, starting on page 9.
All right. Well, we are ready to hear from you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. We have a few primary changes in our FY21 budget, or amended FY21 budget. I'd like to make you aware of. Under Departmental Administration section, the entire department is proposed to receive $1 million to replace vehicles. We'll evaluate our fleet, replace approximately 45 vehicles across all of our different divisions. And as always, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee and the governor's office, we're very appreciative in the investment in to keep our updating our fleet. Next, you will see under the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Program header an increase of $3,430,466. This increase makes the program's trust fund whole in comparison to FY19 collections and meets the law's requirement for allocations. Per the founding legislation, Mr. Chairman, that was confirmed in the 2018 statewide constitutional referendum, the state treasurer credits to the trust fund 40% of all monies received by the state from the sales and use tax collected by sporting goods stores in the immediately preceding year. So in total, the FY21 fund allocation is now $19,430,466 under this recommendation, which makes the GOSA trust fund whole. Since the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Program is still fairly new, I want to give a brief refresher, Mr. Chairman, an overview. The Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Program provides annual designated funding to projects that support conservation, outdoor recreation, and land acquisition. Applicants and recipients of funds may include state agencies, local governments, verified recreation authorities, and nonprofit organizations. The first grant cycle in 2020 awarded projects from Forsyth County, Meriwether County, all the way down to Camden County. They were spread throughout the state. We're now in the second grant cycle, which my board approved the slate of projects last week, and look forward to presenting this new slate of proposed approved projects before the Senate and House Appropriations Subcommittees for final confirmation over the next few weeks. Wrapping up our altered items, the amended FY21 recommendation, DNR's Wildlife Resources Division has budgeted an increase of $493,580 from lifetime sportsman license sales to support the Wildlife Endowment Fund. Mr. Chairman, overall, there are very few changes to the DNR's mostly flat amended FY21 budget, and for this, we are very appreciative of our governor's and the legislators' support and sound fiscal management during such a severe crisis. Challenges over the last year facing the state's natural resources and DNR operations, from weather to COVID-19, have been substantial. The pandemic has pushed many Georgians and visitors outdoors to seek physical and mental health while still social distancing, resulting in record visitation, license sales, reservation sales, and game and fish harvest. In this most different of years, DNR is more essential than ever as this incredible demand has been placed on our services, properties, and ultimately our people. Fortunately, because of excellent leadership across all our offices and divisions, you can remain confident your DNR is welcoming and protecting your constituents with professionalism, integrity, and world-class service, even in these dark times. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you for inviting me to speak with you all and share the important work of DNR. I'll now be happy to answer any questions.
Commissioner, I want to thank you and commend you on the great work you've been doing in keeping our state parks and public lands open for Georgians and visitors through this pandemic, and it's just been a blessing to so many families, and really applaud you for the work you've done. And I'm hopeful that we will see a new generation of people that have discovered the great outdoors in Georgia and all the wonderful natural resources we have, and that you'll see this trend continue to people to continue to enjoy hiking and camping and fishing and hunting. And I think it's been a silver lining sort of to this COVID to introduce new children and families and generations to the great outdoors. So good job there. Is there any questions from the committee? I'm real excited about the GOSA grants, Commissioner. I had the privilege of carrying legislation for Governor Deal that established that in the Senate. I carried it in the Senate, and I've got the packet that you all sent me for the new cycle of grants, and it looks very good. Does the committee vote on that, or does the entire Senate vote on that, or is it just informational for us? Or explain how that works, even though I did carry the legislation.
The statute calls for the committee to the committees on each to take action on it. So look forward to that happening in the coming days.
What is the timing on that? What is there a deadline, or I just got this yesterday, I believe.
It just says that we have to present it to y'all by January, the last day in January. So,
but we do need to vote on it at our next meeting.
I'll get you a solid answer on that. I don't have my GOSA expert sitting beside me this morning, but I'll reach back out to you right after the meeting.
Okay, well, I'll get this distributed. Did y'all take it to all the committee members, or do I need to distribute it to them?
We just delivered it to you, sir.
Okay, I'll get it distributed, and we'll circle back with you on that. Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good day. All right, Director Richard Dunn is going to join us by phone with the Environmental Protection Division. Where are we at on that one? What's the line number and stuff?
This is Rick.
Director Dunn, good morning. Larry Walker, how are you today?
I'm well, Chairman Walker. Thank you very much.
Do you see who all's here, Director Dunn, or do you want me to?
No, I see on video, so I just got everything muted to avoid feedback. You want me to jump right into it?
Sure, I think we're on, what, page 12? Page 11.
EPD has three. Yeah, EPD has three programs under DNR. DNR Section 34. We have the Environmental Protection Program 223, which is on your page 11 and 12. The Hazardous Waste Trust Fund Program 225, which I believe is on your page 13, and the Solid Waste Trust Fund, which is Program 228, which is on your page 15. Mr. Chairman, we only have one change in the supplemental budget, and you'll find that on page 12 at 223.1, and that is to provide one-time funds to replace 26 vehicles and lab equipment at $2.5 million. This was an agency request to be included in the capital budget and to be funded with GO bonds, but I think the way OPB incorporated this into the budget for EPD as well as DNR and some other programs is to actually put this in the cash budget in the supplemental instead. Just to break that $2.5 million down a little bit, $612,000 of that 2.5 is for the replacement of 26 vehicles in EPD's fleet. For your background information, we have 208 vehicles in our fleet with an average age of about 9 years. DOAS has a calculator about when you should replace a vehicle, and about nearly half of our fleet are eligible for replacement using that methodology. So we've identified 26 vehicles for replacement in this request. All of those vehicles have mileage well over 100,000 miles, are over 10 years old. The remaining $1.9 million of the request would be allocated to the replacement and enhancement of lab equipment. You may know we operate a lab out in Peachtree Corners. Most of its work is related to drinking water. About 4 years ago, we began a lab equipment upgrade in the capital budget. At that time, much of our equipment was no longer supported by the manufacturer, and it can no longer communicate with our lab management software. This year, we are focused upon 11 pieces of equipment. 9 of those 11 are to replace existing instruments that have exceeded the manufacturer's useful life recommendation. And the final 2 pieces of equipment are new for our drinking water program and are needed to keep up with new regulatory requirements or to process samples more efficiently. Mr. Chairman, that is the one change we have in the supplemental budget, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you or committee members may have. Thanks.
Thank you, Director Dunn. Any questions from the committee? I don't see any questions, Director. Good job. Appreciate the good work you do to keep us safe.
Thank you so much, and have a great day.
All right. Bye-bye. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's a good point. I think they are staggered, and I think we normally, and our revenues are better than anticipated, and instead of having these vehicles purchased in the GEO bond part of the budget, they're being paid for with cash, which of course will save the state money. And I think that's why we're seeing it in the supplemental like we are, is the state fortunately is in a position to pay cash for these instead of financing them. Natalie, do you want to speak to that?
That sounds accurate. I mean, agencies are allowed to request funding from the for certain
So a lot of vehicles. Thank you, good point. Appreciate you bringing that to our attention. All right, our last, oh, okay. All right. So yesterday we got to meet Dean Nick Place. He was at our Ag Committee meeting yesterday, and that's who's our next presenter for the agriculture experiment.
Good morning, this is Nick Place.
Good morning, Dean. Larry Walker, how are you today?
I'm doing very well. How are you this morning?
Good. Thank you for joining us this morning. I hope you see who all's here. If not, I can.
I do. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Where are we? What's the line number for your section?
Yes, I'll be speaking about Agriculture Experiment Station, which is line 263.100, and also Cooperative Extension Service, which is 265.100.
All right. Well, the floor is yours.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and good morning. It's good to be with you again. I was there to see many of you yesterday, so I appreciate the chance to visit with you. So what I'll be talking about here this morning is a partial restoration of the cuts that were received for the Agriculture Experiment Station last year, which was in the amount of just over $5 million, about 10.6%. And then with our Cooperative Extension Service, a reduction of $4.8 million, which is about 11% of the budget. So how these cuts were handled, primarily it was with the loss of positions. So our college froze a number of positions that were open at that time when the cuts were received. And this resulted in the loss of some key faculty and staff positions in Athens, as well as Griffin and Tipton. And I want to point out that these state funds are very critical for both our research and our extension missions, and for funding these critical positions. For extension itself, last July there were 45 vacant positions around the state, as well as 15 extension research specialist positions that were frozen. And it's important to point out, too, that for our county agent positions, that these are jointly funded by county governments, about 50-50. So with the loss of these state funds, we were not able to fill this large number of positions around the state, despite a number of counties having their funding available. So also in addition to these faculty cuts, there was a major cut to our college's communication unit. And this is bringing about some issues in relation to completion of publications and information that our clientele around the state really rely upon, as well as making sure that we have an intentional communication delivered to producers and families and businesses. Also, this past fall, we closed our research dairy in Tifton because of costs that we were incurring. And as a result, we have consolidated all of our dairy research efforts in teaching here at our dairy in Athens. And another complicating factor that we're having, particularly in the extension area, is with the loss of funds at our 4-H camps. And as many of you are aware, 4-H is a very critical part of what we do. And because of COVID-19, we've not been able to hold traditional in-person camping, and this has resulted in significant losses that we're covering through various needs. So with the restoration of these proposed funds, so for the Ag Experiment Station, it's $2.8 million, and with Cooperative Extension, it's $2.6 million. First of all, I want to say that I and our college is extremely grateful for these additional restoration funds that are under consideration. So I want to thank you all senators, as well as the House and Governor, for this consideration. I also want to let you know that I'll be facilitating a strategic staffing process to determine and prioritize the most critical positions and needs that we have for our college. And we'll be doing this by going through a budget hearing process with each of our departments and units to give them an opportunity to bring forward and prioritize their most critical needs for faculty, staff, and also for any infrastructure. And then I'll be working with my college leadership team to determine how we can best utilize and leverage these funds for addressing the most important needs for our college as well as our constituents around the state. I would envision that as a result of these funds, we'll be able to restore a number of these critical faculty staff positions that I've mentioned early on. In addition, we want to use this as an opportunity to make sure that we are addressing the most critical needs of our constituents in areas such as precision agriculture, food systems, crop production, sustainability, water issues, and other areas such as I mentioned when I was with you yesterday. And also outside of this, we are very hopeful that we'll be able to get back to holding in-person 4-H camps by this summer. That's we're kind of moving in that direction, and it will take time to cover these losses we've incurred. However, we're very hopeful that we'll be able to recover and get back in the positive in about 18 to 24 months, barring any additional issues. So, Senator Walker, I'll stop there. And again, I thank you for your support and very happy to address any questions that you all may have.
Thank you, Dean. So did you say you think you can have some 4-H camps this summer, or did you say December?
We are hopeful we'll be able to get back on track by this summer. With the vaccinations and everything else, we're very hopeful for that. And we are doing some small events there now, starting to do those, or will be starting probably about in April and May. But larger events will have to depend upon what happens with COVID-19.
Okay. And on the staffing, how long do you anticipate it taking to fill some of these positions that were left open?
Yeah, so that is all dependent upon how quickly things move forward and then how many people apply. So in most cases, by the time we go through all of the paperwork, the search and screen, it's typically about 6 months from the time that it takes to get positions filled. As I mentioned before, we'll be starting the process of bringing forward ideas and prioritizations. We'll be doing that starting here in February. So we'll be able to get a jump start on that.
Thank you, Dean. Any questions from the committee? I don't see any questions. It was a pleasure having you with us yesterday, and I invite you to come back soon, and appreciate the good work you're doing.
All right, thanks so much. I really appreciate that, and good to see you all.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for your time.
All right, this is Dean Dale Green of the UGA Warnell School of Forestry and Natural Resources.
Hello.
Dean, good morning. Larry Walker.
Good morning.
Good to have you with us today. I think we're looking at line item 267.1, and I believe it's on our page 24. Is that right? Or my page numbers must be different.
I think it's on page 20.
Okay, sorry.
Looking at in our, yes, sir, in our forestry research is on page 21, 268.100 as well. I want to thank you and the committee for giving me the opportunity to be with you this morning. The cuts that we took last year, right at the end of the fiscal year, really forced us to do things similar to what Dean Place just discussed in ag. We deferred filling some positions. We currently have 4 unfilled staff vacancies. 2 of those are would be prioritized to be filled. We have outsourced IT functions to save expenses. We cut in half our phone landlines to save cost as well. We have 2 faculty vacancies upcoming. We're filling 1 and awaiting budget results for 22 to decide the timing of the second one. Probably the thing we did most, which is not sustainable long term, is we shifted covering some staff funding and operating funds on the extension budget to Federal Renewable Resource Extension Act, RREA funds. We would probably shift and cover those with the restoration of funds here, given that the federal budget runs through September. We can take advantage of the timing differences there. On our forestry research budget side, 268.100, we had to cut on short notice some of our operating support to faculty for positions and research. But for the most part, we chose to tap some unrestricted foundation funds to cover some expenses there. That's not something we could do long term, so we would, instead of using foundation funds, we would use state funds, which is the normal practice with these restorations. And we're very thankful for the good stewardship of our state resources that y'all have done during this challenging pandemic, and we're very thankful for the opportunity to have the opportunity to discuss restoring some of these funds that are critical to our operation to do research, teaching, and outreach to support the forest industry in Georgia by partnering with the Georgia Forestry Commission, who you heard from earlier. That's pretty much my remarks. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Dean. Any questions from the committee? Dean, I don't see any questions. Thank you for the belt tightening and the resourcefulness you've shown in managing through this budget crisis, and appreciate the good work you do.
Thank you. We appreciate what y'all are doing as well. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you. All right, last on the agenda, Sean Rogers, Director of Finance Administration, and Keith Harris, Interim Dean of the Athens Veterinary Diagnostic Laboratory, and it's the Veterinary Medicine Experiment Station, line item 281.1. Good morning, Mr. Harris, Dean Harris. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Appreciate you having us present today. And I'm Keith Harris. I'm acting on Dean Lisa Nolan's behalf. She's on medical leave probably for another week. Otherwise, she certainly would have been here. We're on section 281.1 of the budget document. That's page 21.
All right, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Let's sort of give a quick overview of what the college uses VMES money for. They're used to support the Poultry Diagnostic Research Laboratory, that's PDRC, the Food Animal Medicine Program. A small amount of funding goes to Athens and Tipton Veterinary Diagnostic Labs, supports our 2 farm properties, provides critical funds for maintenance and operations of all of our B units, and it supports research. I know this committee fully understands the difficulty in getting research funding for animal research versus human disease. Now, the budget cuts in FY21, as a result of that, we had to eliminate 3 vacant positions, and had to result in us having to reduce our maintenance and operations funding that resulted in increased deferred maintenance backlog, and then it impacted to some degree our research support. We're really thrilled with the $162,000 in funding restoration in the amended budget, and our plans for these funds are to provide safety upgrades to incinerator, supporting the Athens Veterinary Diagnostic Lab, and needed HVAC incinerator repairs at the Tipton Diagnostic Lab. And as you know, no matter what the budget is, we still accumulate animal carcasses. We have to have a means to get rid of them, so it's critical that we maintain our incinerators. And we're also using the funds to upgrade and repair our research facilities at our Riverbend Farm agricultural site. And ready for questions.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the committee? All right, I think we're good. I sure appreciate your work.
Okay, you know, I just, on the way, I'd just like to point out, and y'all know this, our poultry diagnostic lab and both of our veterinary diagnostic labs function throughout the pandemic and can continue to provide really critical testing services to the livestock industry.
Yeah, that's very important to our economy and our safety, and we thank you. All right, have a good day. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, that concludes our agenda. Any parting comments or questions? I'll be getting the GOSA grant information to you all, and if you have any questions on any of this, please get with either Natalie or myself. Thank y'all for coming. Have a good day. The meeting is adjourned.